In the year 1500, it was thought that there were about 500 million people on planet Earth. This had risen to 1 billion people by the early 1820s, and in the year 2022, human population has grown to 8 billion people. Obviously, during this period of growth, this has taken a toll on forests, which can be used for wood for construction, for wood for fuel, and also the land which forests once occupied can be used for homes, for grazing of cattle, and for crops. If one were to measure deforestation or the net deforestation after the planting of new trees or afforestation is taken into account, one could see a number of trends. First, in temperate forests, these would be largely the forests of North America, of Europe, of Northern Asia, and of Australia. One would see that in the 1900s, deforestation rates increased, and they reached their maximum in the first half of the 20th century. In the second half of the 20th century, deforestation rates slowed, and in recent decades, more forest has been added through afforestation than removed through deforestation. So in temperate forests in the past several decades, there has been a net gain of forest land. Unfortunately, a different trend has played out in tropical forests, largely the forests of Latin America, of Africa, and of Southern and Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. Here, the rates of deforestation have increased. So if one were to take into account the deforestation of both temperate and tropical forests, from about 1700 to 1840, it would equal about 19 million hectares of forest loss per decade. This would increase in the 1800s to about 30 million hectares per decade, and by the early 1900s to 115 million hectares each decade. The 1980s saw deforestation at its height, where the area lost during that decade would equal about half the size of India. Most of the deforestation in the second half of the 20th century was occurring in tropical forests. Luckily, this has been reduced somewhat in recent decades, but nevertheless, the amount of forest which has been lost from our planet from the year 1700 to the present would be about 1.5 billion hectares. This would be about an area 1.5 times the size of the United States that was once forested and no longer is.